tie your story or tie your work and the course that you are putting out into the world to your personal story.
Hello everybody and welcome to our next episode of Course Creation Show. My name is Iman Aghay. I am the founder of Success Road Academy and the creator of Ultimate Course Formula, the fastest way to create and sell your online course in 60 days or less, and your host of Course Creation Site. And I am super excited for my next guest, Elan Bailey. And I've taught, I think, over 3,000 people how to create and sell online courses. And between all the people that I've taught, there are certain people that stand out from the crowd. Like they go such above and beyond and just follow the formula and do things exactly the way that I taught. And obviously they get results because they follow the system and they don't go and recreate things on their own and don't try to figure it out. And Elan is one of those amazing experts who came with a ton of experience on her side and also used the Ultimate Course Formula to create and launch her online course. And just kind of like, I can't wait to have her share her experience and the work that she is doing and the type of course that she has created, and also hearing her story and what got her excited to do this work and the impact that she's making right now and the change that she's making in her clients' lives. So Elan, welcome to the call. I am very excited and very happy to have you here on the call with me.
Thank you, Iman. I am super excited to be here. I was just telling somebody this afternoon that I had been part of your list for years, and yet I had never been to an event that you were actually hosting. And so I think we're going to talk about that a little bit today, is how I actually came to meet you. But as you were introducing me, I was just thinking about this full circle moment of like, here I am being interviewed by you. And it's just been a very short time that we've actually gotten to know each other. So I'm excited to be here.
That's fantastic. So Elan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story, what got you started, and let's begin from there.
Okay. Just let me know if I go too deep. I've got it. It's all the things are here today. I am a leadership coach. I work in particular with women who are out to have a massive impact in the world through their leadership. Women that lead at all levels. So leading themselves, leading others in terms of a team, leading a business, leading a department. For me, leadership is really, it belongs at all levels. And we start by learning to lead ourselves. I just saw a note about audio. Are we okay?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
We're good. Actually, let us.
Yeah, so I work with professional women at all stages of their leadership journey, from leading themselves to leading others to leading a team or a business. I also work with organizations to help them develop happy, high-performing people at work, to build more diverse cultures, to have leaders who are adaptive. And a lot of that juicy work happens on the job. So I do that kind of consulting work as well.
Okay.
And one of the pieces, just in terms of how I ended up intersecting with you and getting to be where I am today, is I ended up, maybe I'll tell you what my topic was and then I'll back up. So I ended up making my first course about overcoming imposter syndrome. And I kind of came kicking and screaming to that topic because I figured that with all of the coaching I had done over the last decade, that I didn't want to start there. I wanted to really have people feel elevated and lifted up, and, you know, let's not talk about imposter syndrome. Let's get to the good work we're here to do in the world. But the reality was I had been living it. I had been living in this experience. You know, I'm almost 30 years into my career at this point. And over the last year, I'd been working with an organization as a business advisor. I was coaching small business owners. And I went from feeling very competent, capable. I was the get shit done woman. I was like super competent as a leader, had great relationships from the past, to starting this role about a year ago, or just over a year ago now. And within the first week, feeling like an imposter, feeling like I wasn't as qualified as the people around the table because they had grown and scaled much bigger businesses than I had. And that sort of plagued me for about 6 or 7 months. In January of this year, I was like, let's go. I know who I am. I know what my values are. I know what, who I am as an authentic leader. Let me bring all of that into this role instead of trying to fit into that culture the way it was. And so I was on my way round about March 15th when coronavirus locked in and we all went into lockdown. So I, for a moment, after going through my own stages of denial and grief, and I, for a moment, thought that perhaps the culture of the company I was in, which had been very much hard sales driven, very much go, 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 very much performance driven, I thought for a minute that with coronavirus, it might shift because we're dealing with small business owners, and that we might take a more heart-centered approach, which is my preferred approach. Instead, it intensified. The pressure to perform intensified. And so by April 9th, I found myself, for the first time in my 50 years, and my first time in about 38 years in the workforce, put on a performance improvement plan. I tell you, I was rocked back. Like, how did I get here? How did this happen? Because a year prior, I had been working in large organizations, coaching entire teams, hundreds of people in organizations on how to be their happiest, high-performing best. And here I was being, underperforming myself and being written up. Well, it took me about a week, not even, to make the decision that I wasn't going to thrive in that environment, that really I had done everything I could. And it was April 14th that I made the decision, and April 16th that I got an email from Iman Aghay. And it was for your course creation. You were doing like a 3-hour webinar. I'm like, who does a free 3-hour webinar? And it was led by you, not by, all of the amazing people on your team. It was actually you. And I showed up for that. And that for me was the catalyst. That was the turning point of just recognizing that I had a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share. And that part of where the hiccups had come in the past was not having a system and not having a mentor who aligned with my heart-centered approach. So.
Amazing. Thanks. Yeah. And then from there, actually so you came on course creation day, and on the course creation day, you took action and you joined the Ultimate Course Formula, the group program. And then, well, the rest is kind of history, which kind of is a short-lived history.
That's right.
What, like 4 months ago?
Yeah.
That's what it was, right? Around 4 months ago, even not even 4 months ago. And okay, perfect. So tell us right now, like, about the course that you created. You follow the Ultimate Course Formula perfectly. And tell us about the topic, the target market, the way that you actually landed with the topic and the target market that really worked for you. And well, let's begin from there, right? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah. So as I said, I kind of came to the topic kicking and screaming because I still had this bit of perfectionist where it's like, okay, I wanted to have it all neatly tied up and, have my expertise all solid, and then, lead people from there. And instead, and this was one of my biggest lessons in working with you, is start from your personal story. So it was really taking that experience of navigating imposter syndrome. And I'm like, I have all of these tools that I have been using throughout the years. So I'm happy to share those with people, But first I have to meet them where they are. So if they are feeling and experiencing imposter syndrome, that's where to start. So, you know, the funny thing is when I did the course creation day with you, I had heard, because I had gone to another webinar that was led by one of your colleagues. And so I'd already been introduced to Iman's 8 golden questions, but I never applied them before. So basically what I did was, you know, I had a consultation. I was like, I'm not so sure about this imposter syndrome thing and starting there, but okay, let me give it a try and let me go and do the market research and use the questions. And because at the time I was still working with this organization, we knew at that point we'd agreed that I would be transitioning out, but I couldn't publicly go onto social media and say, hey, I'm looking to interview people about this topic. So I just started reaching into my network through LinkedIn and other social media. And it's a touchy topic to reach out to people and say, hey, by the way, I want to interview you about overcoming imposter syndrome. You don't even know if they're experiencing it. But it was uncanny how I would have some people who were like, oh my gosh, this is exactly the perfect moment for you to reach out to me. I have been struggling with this. I won't even talk to my boss about it. I had another person who had just gone through an interview for her dream job, and she had said yes, feeling like an imposter the whole time, you know? And so there was so many of these serendipitous moments where people said, you know, it's the right topic, the right time. So what was so brilliant was just taking the time to interview people, to get to know their story. It's so aligned with my values. I'm like, I got reams and reams of stuff that I've created, but I want to make sure I create something that meets you where you are, that matches what you need. And that approach of interviewing people and then following up with them, it was so authentic, so aligned with my values. And I have to say, for me, the results were right there. The things that I had struggled with for 11 months with the organization that I had worked with, which was all around. As a matter of fact, we left with like, haha, well, you're not really good at sales, but, you know, instead, you know, opening my heart, sharing myself authentically, interviewing people about what's going on in their world, as opposed to trying to sell them something. And I had, within 6 weeks, I had the equivalent of the clients that it had taken me 11 months to gain at this previous organization. I mean, that's how exponential the results were.
Hey, this is Iman Aghay and you're listening to the Course Creation Show. If you want to create and launch your online course and you don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walk you every step of the way to successfully create and launch your course, please go to successroadacademy.com/apply and book a session with one of our mentors who can tell you all about how our mentorship programs can help you to create and launch your course. Now back to the show.
Amazing. I mean, like here is what I remember. Actually, I remember on the Facebook group. So for those of you who don't know about Ultimate Course Formula and how it works, is that Ultimate Course Formula is a 8-step process. It's a course that you study 1 week at a time. And at the end of each session, it gives you one homework. You get the homework done. It teaches you how to create and launch your online course in 60 days or less. And week 2, it starts getting you in front of your potential clients, and you do a certain type of market research. Not any market research, it's a very specific type of market research. And by week 4, you start selling the course. And so that's how Elan got in week 6, and that's what she's talking about, that in 6 weeks she had what she would have equivalent to clients in 11 months in 6 weeks. But one thing that I do remember is that you had done your 17th conversation on your course one-pager. So let me explain what a course one-pager is to our audience. So course one-pager is this one page that describes everything related to what's going to be included in your course. There are specific particular things in it, and we're not going to be able to go to the details of that right now on the call. By the way, if you want to get a training on that, you can go to formula.com, and you can sign up for a webinar for tomorrow at 11 a.m. your time. It's an automated webinar, and it teaches you everything about the 8 steps to create and launch your online course, and invites you to invest in Ultimate Course Formula, the training that Elan was part of. But so in your case, Elan, I remember this, that you said that the 17th interview, you said in the past few days, in the past few weeks, when I've been talking to people, every time I was sharing my course one-pager with people who were giving me feedback on how to improve it. And the 17th one, the person had nothing to add. And right away, by the end of the interview, they were ready to buy. And they were like, yep, you got that perfect. How did that feel to have a course that for the first time, you're like, yeah, people are reading it, and like literally by the end of reading what the course is, they're willing to invest in the course?
Yeah, it was really amazing because, as I said, a couple of things. One, here I'd been doing this other work where, I mean, to me, the magic formula is you're listening to people and giving them what they need and what they ask for. And so it felt amazing to know that my listening and translating what I heard, and again, it's not taking me away from being the kind of teacher or coach I want to be. It's just a matching exercise. But to make sure that I actually understand what's needed, and then I can add in all the goodies and things that are uniquely me, but to really make sure I understand. And the interview on its own is so valuable because people feel seen and heard, which is so rare, right? So even at times I was like, are people going to want to talk about this during coronavirus? Like maybe they just have more important things to talk about. But these were the conversations that they weren't able to have anywhere else. And so it was timely. And to know then that I was hearing them and sharing it back with them in a way where it resonated and it became such a natural extension to let's work together. That was really, I mean, I felt like I'd found the secret formula, right? Because I'd been trying to crack that nut for such a long time.
Well, which you did actually. That's exactly what it is, right? You have a course, you have an offer that the moment that you show it to the person is looking at it and says, yes, this is perfect match for exactly what I was looking for, and I can't wait to work with you because I want to get this result, right? And by the way, if you're watching this right now live, or you're watching the recording this on YouTube or a podcast, go down below and comment. Let us know how would that feel to you if you could have the offer or a course that the moment that people will look at your sales page, they will say, yes, I'm willing to invest on this program. Now, Elan, how much was the price of the program that you were offering?
So I offered it to my beta cohort at $500. So it's a $1,000 program, and I offered it to my beta cohort for $500. And I even made a point of really sharing with them what the value was of being part of the beta, right? And this was something that you coached us on really well. It was, again, you could have that experience of feeling like an imposter while I'm charging, and these are the first group to go through this course. But instead it was like, no, I am a co-creator. You've been helping me co-create all along. Remember that interview we did? Remember the follow-up where I showed you what you told me and you gave me feedback and I incorporated the feedback? Okay, well, we're just going to do that for another 6 weeks. I've got a lot to share with you, but I want you to help me develop it. And so because of that, I'm going to give you this special rate. And that was also a bonus for people they got to weigh in on whether they thought it was worth that value or not. And then to be part of continuing with me to co-create was something that really resonated with a lot of my clients.
That's fantastic. That's great. Do you mind if I ask you how many students went through your first group of program, the beta program?
Yeah, so I had 12 go through, and eight went through as paying clients, And it was important for me that there was certain, I offered a scholarship to one person who, was impacted by coronavirus and was just starting a job. And so it was important for me that I pay it forward as much as possible, because it was the feedback that was as important as, this isn't yet the moneymaker. This is just getting started and making sure I'm in the right place and I have the right program. So I had 8 paying clients, and then I had 4 that went through on some sort of partnership or exchange or scholarship.
And that's within the first 8 weeks.
Yes.
That's within the first 8 weeks. So 8 paying clients at $500 each. And now you had the course to begin teaching, and you had actual paying clients who were showing up every week, wanted to learn one lesson at a time. Yeah. Now, tell us about that. How would that feel, like showing up in the class? Like, did you feel you were ready, or you felt like tell us about that. Like how's the experience of selling the course before teaching it? Which is, by the way, what Ultimate Course Formula teaches, that sell the course, then start teaching it, so that you can get feedback, you can improve the course. And so how does that feel?
It feels amazing. It was a huge sticking point for me in the past. I would go deep into developing content and making sure it all flows together. That was the place I was comfortable. And I was the field of dreams woman. Build it and then figure out where the clients are. So this went against everything in my nature to know that you've got this. You've got the expertise, you've got reams and reams of stuff that you can create and share for people and with people, but don't go off down a rabbit hole creating a bunch of things until you know you're creating what people want. And so I had to struggle with that the whole way through, but I just kept following the steps, following the week by week. And I just kept having those interviews. And I was literally still in conversation up until the day of the course starting. And I was still going, okay, what am I going to do? So I remember the first, and I'm very comfortable speaking in front of large groups. I'm very comfortable teaching online. I've been doing it for many years. But I woke up that day with like the butterflies in my stomach, and, are they going to like what I have to share? And, but I just focused on the fundamentals, and I remembered because of the relationship. And now, remember I told you, when you got to the 17th person and, it just landed with them. Well, I had gone a little bit off the radar and put up a sales page with that content on it. And somebody had found it and just purchased the program.
Wow.
So I had somebody in the program that I had never interviewed, I had never met. Now, here's the interesting thing. She stayed in it all the way till the end. She was one of my biggest supporters. She ended up reaching out to me. She is somebody who is learning to communicate with American Sign Language. Mm-hmm. And so she reached out to me and said, would you be willing to open up a scholarship for someone to take the course? I will pay to have a live translator on every call every week, and I will find the person if you would be willing to offer them a scholarship, which I did. And that woman has now gone on to refer 2 more clients. And she was the one who found my sales page without having any kind of conversation or interview.
It's phenomenal. Like I am getting goosebumps, and it takes a lot for me, like after 3,000 students, to like kind of give me goosebumps for the success of one of my students. But I mean, holy crap. I mean, here is the thing I want those of you who are watching this know, like this, like when I started teaching online course creation many years ago, I never thought that this can happen to one of my students. Like this can happen that my students go create their own courses, now have it like translated to sign language, have people coming on board. Like the impact, the ripple effect of your actions are so much bigger than you can imagine, even in your wildest dreams. And I mean, every day, people who have taken my courses come and share stuff with me that I'm baffled. I'm like, holy crap. I couldn't think about. Never realized this can happen. And I mean, yesterday, this weekend, like on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I had a group of my students who on their own put together a 200 registered people event, and like 200 registrants, there are 140 people on the call, and generated $700,000 in leads on their own. I mean, like, they followed what I teach, but you know, like that, when I began, I would never imagine this can actually get to this level. And that's what I want to share with you. Like, if you're watching this and you're holding back because you don't think you are ready, because you think, like, because of the imposter syndrome, just put that aside and think about the impact you can make in people's lives and the ripple effect of the work that you can do, right? So no matter what it is you teach, no matter if it's going to be in health, it's going to be in leadership, it's going to be in overcoming financial challenges, it's going to be on not having imposter syndrome, doesn't matter what that is, it just creates a ripple effect, making a difference in people's lives, right? So, Elan, I'm sure that your course has started having some ripple effect, and some of those, I'm sure you probably have some stories of people who had imposter syndrome came to your course, and in the first few weeks, they started getting some results. So I want to ask you a question that you can actually answer that maybe with some case studies or with just, how do people overcome the imposter syndrome? Like what shapes it, if that matters, and how do we overcome it? And tell us a story of like a person in the program and how, like, kind of like how things changed for them.
Yeah, sounds good. So, and it ties in with a question I see from the audience about, was the whole 8-week course on imposter syndrome. So the way that I framed the course was on authentic leadership, which to me is the antidote to imposter syndrome. It's, you know, really connecting with one's values, your commitment, like you talked about, Iman, the impact that you and your work will have in the world, and having that be your North Star, and then being willing to go to work on anything that gets in the way of that. Any stories we tell ourselves that diminish ourselves, any stories we tell ourselves that we can't or we're not capable, or so on. So I had someone in the course. So we went on this it was a 6-week course. We went on this 6-week journey to really just understand. I use a tool called the drama triangle, and I have people just understand when they feel like they don't have power and when they feel like they do, and how to tap into that. And I'll use this one example again of the student who I didn't have the prior relationship with. So I didn't know enough about her background to know, and she works in government and she's pretty senior. And so I just kept always watching, like, is she getting a lot of value out of this? Well, one of the things that was really impactful in her case was, we moved through, you know, understanding where our power comes from. We talked about our values and commitments and what makes us go from being a reactive survival type leader to someone who is grounded and coming from your authentic source, which those are your values, your strengths, and so on. So it was like, you know, when you go to vacation and you go to a retreat and you see people who show up on the first day and they're very like buttoned up and conservative, and then by day 3 it's like yahoo, and they're the ones on the acrobat, you know, doing the acrobatics or whatever, or they're on stage singing. So I watched her kind of, you know, open up throughout this time. And one of the final weeks was about being open to, we made it about failure. I made it about failure. But part of the lesson of failing forward fast, I called it, was allowing people to see that by holding too tight and wanting to control so that we can protect ourselves, we actually block the blessings. We actually block the flow of things coming into our lives. So it's like if you have a closed fist, You know, nothing can really flow in and through it, right? But if you have an open palm, there's that flow. So I just encouraged people to end their day with a practice of gratitude. And I know that's something that you and I really share and align on as well. And then start their day with a practice of intention. And I got an email from this particular student the day after my one of my evening courses, the day after we talked about this openness. And she said she woke up that morning and she kind of just like felt the weight of the world. And then she remembered what I had said. So she was like, okay, I'm going to set my intention for the day. I'm going to be open. And so this was about, I think 11:30 in the morning, I got an email from her. She said, I just got off the phone and there has been this problem that I've been dealing with at work for the last month. And it's been consuming all of my energy and taking up a lot of time. And it's one of those things that felt immovable, like an impossible situation that wasn't going to change. And she said, I just got off the phone and it is resolved and done and we're now flowing. She's like, so to me it was, and we didn't, you know, she didn't get into the details of what it was that was stuck and what it was that moved. But because I didn't have a prior relationship with her and I'm like, is this stuff landing? Is she getting it? You know? And to know that she trusted me enough to, now we've built up some rapport over 5 weeks. She trusted me enough to take on each week what I had been guiding her through and apply it. And in that final movement, you know, there was something that here she is, a very savvy leader, but even in those moments where you've got something that seems a little impossible and it can shift. I'll share one more quick example because this was something that really moved me and it ties back for me with the kind of research that you ask us to do, where we're literally just asking a question, listening, and then reflecting back to the person what they said. So one of the final exercises I did in my week 6 was an exercise of acknowledgement, where I asked each of the participants to reflect back on their 6 weeks and think about something that they wanted to be acknowledged for. And so we did it as a quiet, reflective exercise. And then I asked them to, you know, come on mic and share one of the 2 or 3 things that they'd written down, but to choose someone from around the circle on Zoom here to acknowledge them. And I said, you are going to feel silly as the acknowledger. You're going to feel silly because they've just told you what they want to be acknowledged for, and then you're going to acknowledge them for that. And your critic is going to show up and be like, oh, this feels, you know, cheesy, or it feels like I'm just mimicking them. It doesn't feel authentic. But they, again, the trust was there and they went ahead and did the exercise. And to watch this group of women who had only known each other for 6 weeks, not one of them had a prior relationship with each other, to watch them moved to tears by being acknowledged by each other was so moving. And to know that they had really been impacted and that they had made an impact on each other. We were only together 2 hours a week. So those are some of the early beta examples. One of the women was thinking about leaving her job and she's been there for 6 years. And the final class, she sent me a message and said, I won't be at class tonight. She was supposed to go back to work that day. She sent me a message and said, I won't be at class tonight. My family and I have decided we're going to go take a vacation. And for her, that was unheard of. So those are the kinds of examples of the impact you can have on somebody's life in 6 weeks.
I'm so proud of you, Elan. I am so proud of you, Elan, for all the work, for all the amazing impact you're making in people's lives, and for how you went out there, you started making a difference. You started, I mean, you were making a difference, but then now you took it online, and now within the shape of an online program, online course, you're making that difference. So, and by the way, for those of you who are on the call and you want to create your online course and don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walk you every step of the way to create your course, I highly recommend you to go to successroadacademy.com/apply. book a time with one of our certified mentors to have a conversation with you about your course and see how one of our mentorship programs can help you and support you to create and launch your online course. You can find that link in the chat box here, or if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on a podcast, you can see it in the episode description. So make sure to go there in successroadacademy.com/apply, book a time, and have a conversation with one of our mentors to see how we can help you with creating and launching your online course. Now, Elan, back to you. One of the things that I talk about, and I actually don't know if you have done this yet or not, because this is post Ultimate Course Formula, and I'm not sure if what you are in my lead mastermind program at the higher end level, and one of the things that we talk in lead is going to the next level. Now that they have studied they've studied your online course, now that you talk to them about the authentic leadership, invite people to work with you at a deeper level at either a mastermind program or the mentorship program one-on-one. I'm not sure actually if you launched a higher end program, and for those of you who are listening to this, usually we are talking about over a $3,000 or $5,000 program. So use your online course for attracting people and helping them for the first immediate challenge that they have. But as we talked about in other episodes as well, that it's not the knowledge that changes people's lives, it's the accountability and the support that changes people's lives. And many people, maybe within the first 6 weeks, they are like, yes, I got this, but then some of the issues are so deeply embedded or like it leads to some other issues that they can get more support and help. And we usually recommend to do this at a higher level of pricing, so you have kind of more committed people, that they are more emotionally, they are more time-wise and financially invested in getting results. And if you listen to the other episodes, you see like how the experts who are working at that level, they say there's a huge, massive difference in the way that those people show up and work with you. So Elan, I'm not sure, but did you launch a higher end program, and did you invite people to your mentorship program?
Yeah, I haven't launched a higher end program yet. I'm still tweaking that. What I did though was, I just really rely on structure, which I love that I get through your program, and intuition. So one of the things that really was important for me was just paying attention to what's happening in the world right now. And so I had, before I was even ready to do a high-end offer, I had somebody show up who was like, okay, the course looks great, but I want you to like hold my feet to the fire. I want to work with you one-on-one. So within, I think, yeah, that's right. It was the night that I launched my 6-week program. I said, I'm happy to have you come in if you want to just try out the first one and see if it's the right fit for you. Or we can do one-on-one coaching. So I signed my first higher end one-on-one coaching client from that same research.
Awesome.
But I wouldn't say I've defined the higher end mastermind program yet. That's still in the works. At the end of this month, we're doing a 3-day retreat for people who either went through the 6-week course or people who haven't gone through the 6-week course. And it's really meant to be a standalone for people to come and, really get this, is that you are the author, director, and lead actor of your own life. But most of us act like we're an extra, an unpaid extra on somebody else's stage. So the 3-day retreat is to really help people get that they're the author, director, and lead actor. We've got an improv specialist, and we've got yoga, and we've got it all happening. So I'm really excited. I feel like I've been living with a song unsung for 50 years, and that is no longer.
Wow, that's amazing. That life, everything is amazing. So, so proud of you, Elan, and I just can't tell you how amazing it is for me to just see you and see your success. And now I just realized that we calculated it wrong. So you within the 8 weeks, you actually had 8 paying clients at $500 plus a one-on-one student.
Right.
And that just kind of like it's amazing. So Thank you very much, Elan. I know that you have a gift for people. Some people want to know how they reach you, how they access your course. So you have a gift for people. Tell people about the gift, and we'll share that link with people in the description and the chat box.
Okay, great. Yeah. So what I've done is I've taken 12 practices that for me are the guiding practices of being an authentic leader. Sometimes people are like, what does that mean to be authentic anyways, right? So it's really about authenticity as a leader in today's day and age. How do we show up more adaptable, more integrative, welcome diverse perspectives, celebrate our uniqueness, and be unwavering in our values, our commitment, our strengths, you know, develop other leaders around us. So I've put together a guide of, you know, just a quick reference point where it's like, oh, I'm in survival mode or I'm in authentic leadership mode, so that we can start to build a muscle together. And so there's the link there. Happy to have you. You just log in and you'll be dropped into a course. It's actually set up as a course and it'll take you through. Yeah. And did you have another question for me there?
No, that was
Okay.
actually my question. It's like, and for those of you who are watching this on YouTube or on a podcast, you can find that in the description of the show. And for those of you who are live, you can see that link in the chat box. So, Elan, one question that I ask from every single one of my guests is this one question. What is your number one success tip in one sentence?
I don't know if you cover this in Ultimate Course Formula. I really hope you do, because for me, it has been the most impactful thing, and there's been many. But it is to tie your story or tie your work and the course that you are putting out into the world to your personal story. And Iman will tell you there are times where you're like, oh, I'm just doing this because people need it, or because I can provide value. And, you know, there's demand for this kind of work. But if you tie it to your personal story, your passion, your personal experiences of what you've been through, you will, I think, better align with your target audience, better align with the topic, and that passion comes through as you share with others. So that's my number one takeaway.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Elan. I really appreciate you. And for those of you who are on the call, you want to create and launch your online course, but you don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walking you every step of the way, please go to successroadacademy.com/apply and fill in the application form, book a time with a certified Success Road Academy mentor to talk to you about how you can use Ultimate Course Formula to create and launch your online course in 60 days or less. It is successroadacademy.com/apply. Elan, again, thank you very much for being with me, and I'm so proud of you. Can't tell you how amazing it is to see you and the way that you are making an impact in the world.
Thank you, Iman, and the same to you. You've made an incredible impact in my life, and this is the ripple effect.
Awesome, guys. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.